Can I just say that it's getting blatant? Like,
Yeah.
yes, she has a persona. Stop
Yeah.
buffing the girl. Oh, and here we have the nerfed hero of the patch. Truly,
Yeah. The
Pudge has
patch
been
loser.
nerfed into the ground. One talent, 2% off. Icefrog says you're welcome.
Yeah, they're like, we want to see Pudge on the main stage for sure. That's
Hmm.
the one thing that they definitely are driving for. I actually want to look at the current Pudge win rate. It's only 33% out of 9 games, but Pudges have been very impactful in the games where the Pudge either counters, like we saw yesterday, countering the Terrorblade,
Hmm.
or when these games are stretching far enough for the Pudge to be a massive problem. So if their games are short, it feels like the Pudge doesn't quite get to his get to his
Critical mass.
window of opportunity, so to say. Like you don't snowball with him at all.
Yeah, I like critical mass. He's a big boy. Anyway, the
There's a
Pudge
lot
makes
of
a lot
critical
of
mass on that guy.
yes. There's a lot to be said for the Pudge in this draft though as well, right? Hero barely got nerfed, so we still have that really big tank versus a lineup that currently mostly has magic damage to offer. Of course, this Enigma does present percentage-based damage, but at the same time, like Pudge, we've got another black hole cancel now together with the clockwork hookshot.
Hmm.
He also does not have to be like the proper carry this game, like as in the right click physical damage carry, because the
Mm.
Shadow Fiend can easily take up that role, and Shadow Fiend loves to have a big fat boy standing right in front of him, attracting all the attention.
Yep.
So this core duo makes a lot of sense.
Does sit in quite nicely, and then considering these
Only
the,
10
the, the whole the
seconds.
whole utility, the whole combos that's working around in this game, like clockwork
5
grabbing people
seconds
makes
remain.
Shadow Fiend's game a lot easier. Choke point
Mhm.
fights, Pudge is
Radio
also good
spam.
to kind of
Yeah.
align together with everything. You have the slow from Enchantress that helps Pudge hook people,
Dial
or just
spam.
add on top of the rot as well. But Execration is pretty early game heavy fighting with Marcy's and Pucks, and
Hmm.
I'm just trying to see. I mean, the clockwork being picked makes Jakiro a good pick, but otherwise, I'm a bit skeptical maybe about how good
10
this
seconds
Jakiro's
to
game is
pick.
actually going to be, because it doesn't feel like the greatest pick. It's a good
Picking.
pick, but
Hmm.
it can still feel like it's a hit or miss game for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Execration really rely on getting their combos off here. And I think already, and I feel like you normally say this like later in the game, oh, it's really all about who gets the initiation off first. But I can
Mm.
already see in the draft here that if
10 seconds
Execration
to
gets
pick.
their jump and they catch a couple of Hokori heroes together, then
5
their wombo
seconds.
combo can make
Hurry,
mincemeat
hurry.
out of them. But on the opposite side, if Hokori gets to split up the fight, hook a hero here,
Mm-hmm.
hook shot another hero there, put some cogs in the way, they can just smack them down one by one with this SF, and then Hokori's got the advantage. So really, yeah, whoever goes first already in this case. And Execration can change that by picking up a sustained damage hero here. But as you can see, Hokori has already taken off two heroes that are very good in long fights. So to go with her also great sustained damage, great AoE
Mm-hmm.
damage. Not the biggest physical damage carry, but Execration are really going all in on playing fast here, I think.
Yeah, I think that's Execration's tool. It can be very efficient against the Hokori too, who
Only
have
10
been
seconds.
very active with roaming around the map, taking control away
5
from the
seconds
map. Even if they
remain.
find a pick off, they don't necessarily push into an objective, but instead invade the space of your opponents. And I think Execration have great heroes on scouting out these moves, counter
Mhm.
initiating, and being capable of fighting back with almost any hero in their lineup, and also very mobile. Razor,
Yes.
Puck, Enigma, Marcy. All these heroes have like pretty good. Well, not necessarily the Enigma, but the Marcy, Puck, Razor,
Mhm.
like very good mobility in the team and capable of responding to aggression.
Yep. Good reach on the follow up with the Jakiro as well.
Mm.
So yeah, very suitable for skirmishing as well as team fighting here on Execration. Whereas I think Hokori are really reliant on landing their skill shots first, and if they don't do that, I don't think you take the fight.
Just kind of worried about how
All right.
good are
Let's
the
see
lanes
what
going to
the
be for
damage
Hokori, because
is.
Shadow Fiend kind of has to succeed. Oh, that's actually a carry Shadow Fiend that we're going to be seeing because of the
Mhm.
Weaver going off lane for Vitali and the mid Pudge for Analog. So the matchups, we've got Bob with the Puck versus Pudge in mid lane. Yeah, I mean, guess it's going to be a pretty farm heavy, tying up on farm kind of matchup in the mid lane, but the side lanes kind of have to go well for Hokori, especially the Shadow Fiend. That's the one that I'm a bit fearful for. Is it strong enough to fight back against Execration? Because playing against the Marcy is not fun if you get caught.
No, it is not. I mean, at least she can't initiate as fast as she used to every single time, but that's a rough lane to be up to. And the safe lane SF, I mean, it has always been the weakness of the safe lane SF
Yeah.
that you're either struggling with mana regen in order to get raised and push the wave out, which is why we haven't really seen that. So instead, you go for the right click build, which leaves you extremely, extremely vulnerable and unable to turn on anything. If they go on you, you're a goner.
Also, I think noteworthy of mentioning at this point is Execration R playing with a stand-in today. So Vincenzo is away, and Abeng is going to be filling in the roles of the Jakiro, at least here in Game 1, taking the position 5 role for himself and sitting in to see if they can lead Execration into victory here in this early SEA series of the day versus Hokori. And the last game that Execration played, I think that was a couple days ago. On the 24th, they got 2-0'd by Lilgun. So let's see if they've learned from their mistakes from that series and coming in with a hunger here against Hokori, because Hokori's on a roll. They've been a pretty hot
They're
team.
learning fast. Well, I am very hyped to see Bob. He's a Grandmaster Puck. In the words of Scant, you should always respect the Filipino pucks as well. They're the fastest in the world. But the kind of player that has either like a bottom tier or top tier performance, I love watching those guys because they push the limits. And Puck is exactly the hero to do that on. Oh, yeah. And eventually you'll often see that the people who push the limits the hardest learn how to raise that bottom limit up of their performance. Whereas the people who never push their performance that hard and are like trying to get consistent first, they get in trouble trying to then play more risky and find out how much better they can do.
Yeah, I think the key word in what you're saying is trying when the others are doing.
Yes. Bob is just doing. He doesn't think.
Yeah, he just does. And Hokori gonna hook the rune for themselves here. Shank's gonna be able to grab it in between. And Hokori already going with all of the 4 bounty runes. So that's a pretty solid start for them.
Very smooth. I mean, hard to contest versus both the clock and the pudge, right? You're not getting the Clockwork's rune, you're not getting the Pudge's rune, and then they put the other heroes on the other spots, and you are sawed out of luck.
Clockwork at least following all the way here into Palos and Abeng. What I would kind of like to see the Oliker do here is, because he's got those boots picked up, is cut the wave right away on this this next creep wave. Make sure that that easy camp also stays blocked while he is doing that too, to make sure that they can get that quick level 2, maybe even halfway to level 3 there onto the Weaver. That's already a courier snipe, and here comes the pull. So all going according to plan.
What do you even need me for?
Let's see if he's going to be blocking both of these camps. He's got the range creep still sitting in the easy camp, and goes himself into the hard camp. Make sure that for another minute no mobs will be spawning there. So yeah. This is just something that we paid attention to a lot with Pablo yesterday, is picking up those early boots and going in to grab that wave to secure your offlane a quick level 2.
And I want to contrast the top lane to that, because top lane actually the camp has been blocked by the offlaners themselves. So Tino and Shanks making sure that the Ench has to stay in lane. They cannot do anything versus the Enigma here.
Well, you already see the power of that magic resistance being nerfed. They're just getting almost one-shot by these raises here. Lumiere having a good time getting that extra CS added in between. And a couple Dolans sacrificed in the lane.
But he needs to keep on getting those.
Meanwhile, Shanks helping him out with stolen Eidolons with Enchant. Analog off to a very solid start in mid, though. 14-8 compared in the CS department against Bob.
Yeah, and Pudge is a great Puck counter in lane, because there's simply... Puck wins lanes through spam. And you cannot spam a Pudge out of the lane. He is literally too thick for you.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel anything.
Pretty nimble moves here in mid. The illusory orb hook interactions. We actually saw a pretty interesting one work out with the Beastmaster, where the Pudge would jump on the puck. You see the illusory orb go out, so he's loading up the hook and where he's gonna land, but you can't jump because they're gonna get caught by the hook. So the Beastmaster had time to blink in and roar, so you never got the orb away, and you're still gonna get hit by the hook damage. So kind of perfect utilization if you can get a second hero to line up to just mess up with the puck. And I think Clockwork is fantastic for that same job.
He is, but of course there's also the problem with having both of the hookers on the same team, is that if the Clockwork goes first, half of the time you're going to see the Pudge hook his own clock back out.
Yeah, that can also happen. That can also happen. Carry Pudges getting their quops who just blink in. It's like, whoa, whoops, wrong guy. And the moment I jump away from mids, it is Bob who actually snatches the first blood for Execration. A very important kill for him because it does also allow him to catch up in CS. That's Bob for you. We didn't get to see it, but we know Bob can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see it though, and I'm kind of surprised because Analog sort of did that to himself. He hooked Bob, and Bob was like, "Hey, now I get to hit you with all of my mukes. That's rad." So as much as I want to credit Bob, I'm sorry, Analog. That was all you.
That's a mistake play, right?
Yeah.
Can also work the other way around. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they're actually going to be taking down one, maybe even two. The Oliver dropping pretty low. Palos doesn't have the movement speed to close up on this Boots Clockwork, who just walks out with a couple HP. And that will be Hokori also getting their first kill on the board. Vitaly, who has been exceptionally good on DPs in the offlane, also showing some flashy Weaver.
Vitaly is very, very ready to attract attention. He has never been afraid of the spotlight in that way.
Yeah.
Very interesting offline player. So he creates a lot of space, usually in the mid game, by simply being in positions where people want him. Oh, Palos looks dead.
Yep, and Shanks also falling at the top lane. Palos got a bug chewing on you, and Abeng will return with the Oliver kill, but this is good for Hokori. That's a really good trade-off. Another kill for Vitaly. The carry down, very important for them. Plus, they got the Marcy in the top lane, and Tino, well, on the positive side for him, Shadow Fiend did not want to squeeze in another raise in between, so the Enigma gets to stay in the lane a little bit longer. But 5 kills in the first 5 minutes. They're going to go in onto the Shadow Fiend this time. Shanks has got the toss coming in as well, and he's trying to fight back, but he doesn't get the short-range raise in. Gets killed before it ever gets to land.
A little bit overzealous there from the SF.
They're going to Palos again in the bot lane, though.
Oh, boy.
They're sapping away the damage off of Vitaly, but Palos is taking a brunt of this damage. The bug is still there, finally gets killed, but it doesn't matter. Even if you got no right-click damage, you got a Shukuchi to finish off the job, and Bob is coming in for the double coil, and he wants these kills.
Double kill.
Good rotation from Bob that does salvage the situation in terms of making the trade at least somewhat favorable. It does enable the Bob puck like quite a lot here. Good read, good call, but Hokori did kind of drive them into that situation too.
Exactly, but now we're in a position where Bob is the only one on his team actually doing well. Both the Razor as well as the Enigma, I don't want to say on the struggle bus, but they've got their tickets in their hands, and they should really decline getting on right now.
Let's see which height they jump on. As on the mid lane, they're going to be jumping on Analog. Shanks with the jump on the Pudge. He's got his Dismember, but he's tanking tower hits and 3 heroes. So a revenge kill does come through from Execration, punishing the Pudge for the first time. Or the second time, even in this case.
Yep, and all of the Execration kills so far have just been punishment. Hokori are playing very active, very aggressive. They're trying to push their advantages now that they're coming in with the levels, because they have been winning the lanes. But they're pressing their advantages too far. And on every single lane now, Execration has managed to get counter kills in because of that.
Pudge looking for the hook here. Rocket Flare is already given in, and there we go. The connection does go onto Bob. He does get the silence off first because of the Dismember. So Analog ends up taking 600 damage as this DD puck also just hammers this Pudge. And half of that tower is already gone.
I am I don't want to say weirded out, but the fact that Analog has the chainmail on him right now to finish off the phase boots instead of putting any. They lose the tower and Lumiere. Jeez.
And maybe
Where
Gardic
are
even.
your raindrops?
This
My
is...
son, my child.
That is a dead Gardic as well. Double kill for Tino. Mid tower down. Getting Analog killed as well. Like, this is, you know, good trades coming out from Execration as well. Looked like Hokori were making some good moves early on, punishing Palos, but, well, looking at Palos, just a bit of poke coming in from Vitaly to help with the Oliker. But yeah, the net worth tells you everything. Puck is getting away, basically.
Yeah, he is, and he's immediately pressing that. Look at Lumiere, level 4 versus a level 7 Puck hunting him. He needs to be way more careful than
You
this.
want a jungle? And here comes the clockwork. Oh wait, at the Enchantress actually not instead of the clockwork, but not wanting to go for it. He did have coil. He did see some backup was on its way. Probably not worth to kill the Enchantress if an SF is there ready to raise you up, but
no, all they need to do is zone.
they're gonna raise this Enchantress into the air. Another one for Bob.
And again, Gardic, you can see him sort of torn there between. Oh, yeah.
This is just never-ending absolute SEA slaughter by an SA team as well. But look at Bob coming back in. Palos kiting him around. Bob's just toying with his prey right now. Double kill for him as he gets a second, maybe even a third. Lumiere, he's got the short-range raise, gonna get stunned up again, and Shanks is just landing them so perfectly because it doesn't allow him to get that third raise off, and that's a triple for Bob. He's 6-0, and he's just gotten an extra 800 net worth in the last minute. Nuts.
Well, that is nuts, yeah. And I love his movement in this game. He's predicting where he needs to be and then walking there so that when Hokori tries to retaliate, like, okay, we know the puck is top, let's go on mid. He's just like, haha, but I just have a TP scroll. It's the fastest movement item in the game.
Oh. 11-4, 2k lead for Execration with these early towers. They do go for the tier 1 tower trade on both ends of the map here. But these supports are getting deprived of XP, except for Shanks, who's already level 6, and that Unleash can be very handy against blowing up a quick Enchantress.
Absolutely. And honestly, Hokori can thank their lucky stars that they actually get to press through the bottom side here, because if that tower remains on lockdown as well, you get nowhere to play. Oh.
Man, sidekick damage.
Yeah.
Just as good as it always was.
Sidekick with Eidolons. Meh.
And would you look at that? That's another DD rune. At least it allows Palos to farm up a tad bit faster. Oh, what the fuck this time?
Palos did have a rough laning stage. They're recovering excellent right now with especially the tower gold, but he does need a little bit more of a boost to get to a proper BKB timing. And the BKB timing is very important here. Because the SF's early damage, he has invested heavily into the raises. Necromancer, no Dark Lord yet. So magic immunity right now is immunity from most of the damage that Hokori is going to put out.
Yeah. I see a lot of Shadow Fiends don't want to go for the minus armor too early on. Shanks, he's an ally to jump off of, and that's going to be Abeng. But the hook shot comes out from Theoliker. They're going to be spread into two directions. Tino, he's going to be helping Shanks here to turn around. Black hole for nothing. That's not going to connect on anything because they just spread out and walk out of it. But Shanks is going to be dropping pretty low here. And here comes Bob. If you don't have Black Hole, they've got this big Bob puck coming your way. And that's going to be Vitaly taking Shanks down, and that will pop the coil as well. He walks just on the edge of the break zone, and that will be a double for Bob as well. He's now 8-0. So that's actually a pretty good trade-off here for Execration, because it is Bob picking up all these kills.
Yep.
That's a
and
Switchblade.
Look at the speed here. Yep. I mean, that's his Switchblade. That's 700 gold on top of his Switchblade. This man is a monster. He is huge.
Guess this is the tier 1 Bob we're seeing in this game.
Yeah.
Hokori's gonna have to target Puck super heavy at some stage of the game, and just just simply focus on this lad, because that is a pre 12-minute godlike spree. Yes, ladies and gents, you heard me right. That's under 12 minutes and a godlike spree already on a hero. I'm just gonna repeat what I said before. Nuts. Analog gonna be fighting Palos and Shanks, and another pickoff going for Execration. And they're on a roll.
Oh, they are. And Execration is doing a great job here as well of avoiding the lane where the Weaver is. It's like, yeah, the Weaver is the one that can get out. So if we just don't deal with him at all, Hokori is presumably going to put him on the lane where the farm is the hardest to get anyway, because he's their +3. Yep. And we just kill both the other cores who are sitting ducks right now.
Yep. I just love this control that they have around. Like here, trying to jump onto Bob as he's inside the enemy jungle. He does end up taking a hefty amount of damage there from Vitaly. But at the current moment, they are getting a lot of map control established against Hokori, and they're struggling to get it back. You know, SF and Pudge, they both seem to need a lot of time. So you're not in a very optimal situation if you're Hokori.
They have a threat against the puck now, though. Analog has a Blink Dagger, and that is the moment where Bob should start fearing, and Tino should start paying a lot of attention, because he is the one with that black hole who can most easily save a team fight after that puck gets caught.
Yeah, Theolicor needs to move with Analog. It kind of has to go with the pre-stun to follow up into Dismember, because otherwise Bob's just going to Waning Rift out of every single hook. He's always going to get the silence off before the Dismember is allowed to go. They need some kind of follow-up stun. And I think that's Hokori's issue here. They don't really have control. They have damage, but control is limited.
Yes. Analog hiding his Blink Dagger there, by the way. His courier was hovering around the tier 2 while he cleared the mid wave.
They want Bob.
Now he's ready.
And Theolicor's here.
Bob.
Like, this is, if they get it close enough, that might just be what they need. And Clockwork's going to be shown. So a bit off the target here. Now it's the chance, though. Oh. Gonna be a save one, a saving hook at least onto the Clockwork this time. Too many hostiles most likely in that river area when Bob is playing like that, and nobody else is showing on the map, so fearful. And Vitaly, he's gonna get stunned up by Shanks. War putting the sentry down on the ground, and they're taking no second chances. Black Hole will be used on this. And the push for the tier 2 tower opens up. Another hook from Analog to keep Theolicor. Don't go in the lane. Get over here. Because Bob is there.
Top tower is gone. And they should be striking back at bot right now, but it's so hard. They know that Bob has a TP scroll, most likely. And Palos just doesn't die fast enough, so instead, yeah, Lumiere's low as well. He's just farming here. He wants that Shadow Blade.
Yeah, this is it's just a pleasure watching Bob's movement here too. Like how awake he definitely is. It feels like Hokori's maybe still sleeping a little bit, sleeping past their luck maybe. Enchantress doesn't quite get killed here by Bob and his nukes, but at least now with the tier 2 down, the outpost can be taken. And there will be a support kill that they find in the mid lane. Not the best pick-off, but at least a lone hero. That's something.
I'm just concerned that they're prioritizing trying to kick Execration
Bob's gonna get killed. This is a big streak that's gonna go away, and that is 800 gold for Lumiere.
Alright.
Shadowfiend almost caught up to Enigma and Razor as well with that kill. That's how much money that was just given away. Bob's gonna be beating himself for that. They are chasing Shanks. Vessel ticking. One more, and it's gonna be just enough. Calculated.
Just enough, but not enough to get another Spirit Vessel charge. That is unfortunate. Vitaly really needs those, and kills have been in short supply. But I was quite concerned about that move, because if you don't get the kill there, then once again, you're playing reactive. You're going to hunt for a puck that you're once again not getting, instead of going for, say, this mid tower. But instead, Hokori actually pull it off. They get a big amount of gold out of that. They get this pressure on the mid tower afterwards as well. Get some D-wards out in their own jungle, hopefully.
Yeah, buys them some time, buys them some space. Just what they needed. Downside is they're all basically just farming jungle because none of the lanes are safe to go to. Analog even hiding in the trees as well. Has to click away as Palos and Shanks are setting them up for this bottom lane. Analog denying the tower. Bob was already making his way here. As you can see, they're constantly hunting, and I love the movement from Execration. It is very high tempo. Even if they wouldn't really have to. Like, they're on a timer. Yes, Palos, though. He's actually going to get the turnaround onto the Pudge and get a lot of damage out, and this Pudge is actually going to go down for sure, right? He's very low, and he is dead. Enchantress as well. Gardic trying to get to the high ground. Not going to happen. Pudge didn't go for the instant dismember and decided to disengage, but that sap, that link, taking all the damage for Palos, and it's just ramping up, and once Shanks is there, you know he's a goner.
Yep, 160 damage over on Palos there, no biggie.
Yeah,
At
no
the
biggie.
very least, Vitaly has been pressing his advantage over on the other side of the map, but he's going to get...
Black hole?
I mean, if he's lucky...
No need.
He is not lucky.
He's not lucky. They would love to save that black hole for Lumiere. Maybe even another analog that they spot on the map. Maybe even a bigger one. Because Tino does have the blink. Oh, Lumiere hunting for a quick kill here on Tino. His Shadow Blade is about to run out though, so it's going to hide again. He's going to TP all the way home. Okay, so he's just going to... You can see that the team is a bit fearful for Execration's moves, and I think that's something that if you set yourself in the player's perspective, the way that Hokori's been playing this game is constantly on the response from Execration's aggression. So... Every move you want to make, which you technically would look like, oh, that's the right move to make, they're thinking there's probably 2 heroes here already.
Yes, and they just straight up don't have enough information. Like, if you flip their vision right now, they just find out there's a Roche going on because of the rocket flare, but otherwise the map is empty and the creep waves are constantly shoving.
A lot of darkness on the map. This sub 20-minute Roshan gotta be going in the favor of Execration. I believe either the Razor or the Puck would love to have it, but Puck is setting up in top for a Weaver.
Yeah, Puck's going to... Oh, he actually switched out of the Aeon Disc. That's interesting. I was like, he doesn't want the Aegis because he'll have Aeon Disc, and that's all he needs. Because all you need to do is survive the Dismember, right? But Bob says, nah, I'll go SNK. I'll live. You guys got me, right? And so instead it's going to be Palos on the Siege Engine on that Razor.
Vitaly is going to get spotted, but he goes on the other side though, Bob. They actually found him again. He was just on the edge of that sentry ward, so they will find the Weaver again and set him up for a kill. This one lone sentry here, he literally walked somewhere over here and just got quickly shown by Bob when he waning rifted in, and it's like, alright Bob, we've just seen you.
But the big difference here is that Vitaly's death kept 3 heroes busy right now, including during the fall of the bottom tower, where most of the cores of Hokori were busy beating that one down, and they've got the outpost trade done now. So Hokori, as much as it was unfortunate for them to lose another core, to lose another Roshan, they did make the most of it this time instead of falling into the trap of reacting, as you said before, and losing even more terrain.
Those are very important things, that even if Vitaly doesn't get to play a game, at least his team might have a chance at it.
Yes.
The tower is being threatened. Meanwhile, Hokori, Gardic is cutting the wave, and
they want Bob.
See the coil, they've got the information, he goes in, and Lumiere can't get close enough to Bob. He wants to Requiem, and he's gonna get it on the money. There we go. Bob was already out, and he walked back in. They're gonna find Theoliker in the jungle. Meanwhile, Clockwork is gonna drop low, but is it enough to kill him? It is, but it is an AI kill.
I wonder if Bob's having some regrets. Yeah, he's switching back into the Aeon Disc. I mean, he got the SK confirmed, right? But, you know, he would have lived.
Shanks actually wasn't able to grab the Enchantress for some reason in the middle of those trees next to the Triangle Award spot. He's just walking back and forth, and he did have enough cooldown. It was like maybe a bit of a pathing issue, so he missed the kill. But doesn't matter too much. And yeah, like you said, switching back into the A on disc on the puck is basically, if that didn't happen, he wouldn't have gone for it. But since it has happened now twice, it seems like the best
Yeah.
option.
You know, I understand the hesitation, right? Because an Aeon disc effectively says, all right, the offense is no longer my best defense. Defense is the best defense now. And that feels like a loss on a hero like Puck. You feel like you have get out of jail free cards, several of them. And if you just use them well enough, like, especially for a player like Bob, right? Like, if I'm reading this guy right, he's like, I could have just played better and not died. And a player who can just play better, what use does he have for an Aeon disc? That feels like a stopgap. That feels like a crutch.
Actually,
He's doing it anyway. And that's what's important.
When did they lose the ages, actually?
Huh.
Because that's probably been happening at the same time as we've been looking at Bob. That's probably what Theoliker was doing, is blowing up this Razor.
You're right.
And they don't have it anymore. So, let's see what happens there. But Lumiere's going to get another Requiem. Will be connecting. Palos is just feared between the Wraith Pact and can't get anywhere. 3 hits for Lumiere. They're going to take down Gardic, though, Bob, in the middle of the fight as well. Vitali dropping pretty low. Does get the time lapse off just in time. But that is a DD puck. That puck hits for 300. To keep your distance for it, but they've taken the carry. They've traded off their supports, but they still got Analog. They still got Lumiere for the damage. Vitali. Oh, Enigma just walks in. Okay, hits. That's a strolling Enigma right into the arms of Lumiere. He's got a Mask of Madness on, so he can't be casting any spells right now, but Shanks is dropping very, very low. The raw damage and the bugs slowing him down. Gardic will finally get the kill with the Hadouken coming out from the Satyr Tormentor. Bob is out of vision. I think they saw him go there, but they didn't see him exit. 57 HP tower as well. He's setting up for a kill. They want Vitali. Silence comes out. Analog ready with the hook. He's going to be getting pucked this time. Doesn't grab the Weaver. Weaver trying to make a run for it, and he's got time lapse in 1 second. Does he get it off? Yes, he does. And he's off the other way. Juke's on you.
See you later, nerds.
Adios. That's the time to use it. Misses the coil. Oh, Bob. Yeah, that was so
worth the try.
Yeah, it is worth the try. He's still going back and forth. He's back under a sentry. Oh, he TP's home. No. Oh, he made it. Living on the edge.
Oof. In between all that chaos, though, there is a definite line now emerging of Execration not quite having enough damage to deal with Hokori anymore. There's 2 BKBs up. And Execration is still mostly magical damage apart from this Razor. And Razor, if you can blowing up, if you have burst damage, then he is tissue paper. He needs armor. He needs it fast. But Palos, this man is this is a courageous man. He's got a Blink Dagger queued up right now.
Kind of has to, right? I mean, if Execration has any hopes of winning, it's somewhere along the lines of sustained damage, but sustained fast enough damage. Because I feel like Hokori will win the fights on the long run, despite them having only these 2k HP cores currently. Shadow Fiend 2k, Weaver 2k. Even the Pudge is kind of soft at the moment with 7 armor and 2000 HP. So if you do get the link on someone, you sap up some of the damage, you either use it as you're blinking in or blink after to get yourself the repositioning capability. And Gardic's going to be finding Abeng. There's the hook. Analog will get the Dismember out as well. That's going to be the first member out, but that's an illusion that he's sapping the damage off, but it doesn't matter. Palos is going to be hitting like a truck. Gardic able to dodge for the time being. Coil will be used onto the Weaver as well. The Oliver coming in from the side, but this Clockwork has nothing to give. They're going to give away the Weaver. Palos on the run. Then they're going to turn around with Analog, popping his BKB, but the Black Hole is onto the Shadow Fiend with the BKB. That's a perfect target for Tino. And now on the TP is going to be Analog, but he won't make it. Palos. It works for Execration. It works.
It worked, but it only worked barely.
They're gonna get all of them.
The moment where Palos gets hooked and the second link does not go off on the SF, I was convinced that he was just going to melt to the right clicks, but instead he holds on long enough and then the Black Hole comes in. Finally, Tino paying off.
This is like the game where you only need to Black Hole one guy, and it's the one who pops BKB at the start of the fight, and popping it onto a Shadow Fiend that's like 150% worth of a target to just use it on. So Shadow Fiend literally just popped BKB. Kino goes in for the black hole. He knows that's the most important target I need to grab this game, and they just team wipe Hokori. They are respawning though. They don't even get the tier 3 tower out of the way. Gives them a fighting chance at least.
And they need to find these, I don't want to say these exact circumstances again, but circumstances roughly like these. Again, Palos needs to have either a link on the Pudge and have so much damage that people can't stand, or he needs to link the SF.
Oh, Tino, I'm a fan of you already. I see the Aether Lens being lined up. Aether Lens Enigma. I'm a huge fan of that. They are going to be finding some other fans. Bob and his Aeon Disc will be popping. Bob gets to live. He was cliffed there for a moment as he got out of the dismember as soon as that Aeon Disc would pop, and it's now down for 90 seconds. 6,000 gold lead, and the Gaben graphs also give a 91% win probability for Execration.
Really?
So Hokori, in terms of those raw numbers, would be looking into a pretty awkward situation, but I don't quite agree with this. I think this game is more like a... I think this is like a 65-35 game for maybe Execration.
For sure. They have so much scaling left in this SF. They have so much like hit point scaling left in this Pudge.
Yep, the talents.
This Pudge only has 4 stacks of the flesh heap right now.
Yep.
It could be so much bigger.
Could be one of the indicators that are kind of factoring in why his probability is so low. But I mean, I'm just waiting for these Shadow Fiend talents to kick in, you know. Shadow Ray supplying attack damage is kind of nuts.
Don't have a black hole yet.
All that good work if they get the push, but there we go, guarding a hook shot. Nice from the Hokori. They're stuck. Analog looking for the hook angle, but he doesn't want the Jakiro. He wants something else. They want the Marcy, and they will get the BKB off of him. And the turnaround coming from Execration. They're absolutely pummeling them right now. Bob will take down the Hokori, going for the buyback Lumiere. Aegis will pop, and he popped with the BKB. This has no defensive capabilities left on the SF. He's going to get stunned up right away, sapped away by Palos, and killed on the spot.
Yep, and I salute Palos for that Blink Dagger pickup, because he recognized, like I said before, he needs to get the link on the asset. That's what the Blink Dagger is for. It's like, who needs an offense, or who needs a defense, who needs a plate mail if the SF can't click me because I have his damage in my pocket?
SF can't do much in that. Yeah, that was also his BKB on the Aegis and not after, because the fight looked like they could fight before, and then things started taking a turn for the worst. We see Abang landing an Ice Path on like, what, 3-4 heroes?
Yeah. One
of them BKB'd. It's just the Pudge. Pudge is like, I want out of here. And Bob says no. Gardic? Aggressive positioning here. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, that's a... Well, missed that one, but it might actually be a pretty good one here, because they're gonna... Oh, no!
Don't tell me you live, Gardic!
Oh, Gardic wants this. Well, I mean, they can give away the Enchantress's life. He's gonna be back at 36, but man, that hook was so close. But it's not close enough.
And that means the siege continues.
The siege continues, yeah. They're just taking over the map. They can push out the top lane and the bottom lane, take over the enemy jungle, live here for a little bit longer. But it won't at least lead into a high ground push at the time being.
I like how Shanks and Palos are in the jungle right now. Just he's giving him sidekick to lifesteal off of the jungle creep so he can get back to full health.
Yep. And sidekick is so good on agi heroes. Like they always ramp up in a lot of attack speed. Don't necessarily have the highest right click to start things off with, but sidekick gives you that big extra punch. Like Razor hits for almost 200 with the sidekick. That's a big buff that you get. 65
Decent.
bonus.
Good enough to be in a top lineup.
11k lead.
That's a miss. A Lumiere just...
At least they jumped on Battalion mid. Shanks. Force staff save coming out as well from Gardic. They will keep the Weaver alive. I'm guessing Bob was jumping in bottom. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, this actually it was Analog and Lumiere hunting Bob on bottom, but
right.
the Requiem did not connect, and that means that Bob is free as a bird again right now.
70-second cooldown. I think Execration, they know about it too. So Hokori's just trying to cut waves. try their best with the split push game. All of Execration have been spotted, so Vitali's moving away from the tree line, but this top lane is coming into base.
Yeah, I think
Refresher
we've
ready,
learned.
BKB ready. They're fight ready
Yeah,
on Execration.
AC ready.
Analog playing with his
You
life
can
though.
try.
BKB right away, but he's going to get sapped out of his damage. And look at the right clicks on Analog. He's just a piece of paper that gets torn and burnt and thrown into the oven as Palos is going to finish off the rest. And Tino with the black hole. That's game.
Over. Like, there is a reason why I was advocating for this AC, by the way. He did not need to Blink Dagger to win that fight, but that's... Oh, that's Razor versus a single right-click core for ya. What a great pick to round out that draft. And altogether, Execration, a really impressive hold there under the pressure of Hokori winning those lanes, taking over in the mid-game, and adjusting as really well to them running out of damage in the mid-game. That was all beautifully done.
It was a solid victory. I think Hokori was... I think they've slept past their luck. I mean, this is not the Hokori I've seen in the last few days. This was a very underwhelming performance by them and an over-performance from Execration. God damn it, Bob, man. 12 minutes and a godlike spree. Like, that pretty much tells you the story of this game. If your puck is that on fire early on, okay, made a couple, you know, overextending mistakes where you got killed by a Shadowblade Requiem. But outside of that, I think that caused a lot of damage onto the side of Hokori and never let them bounce back into the game. That was unrecoverable, what happened in the early game.
I don't even want to call those two deaths mistakes. It's more like sort of hazards of the job, you know? Like, you play like that, at some point, both of the enemy cores with instant disables are going to be searching for you. Occupational hazard. It happens.
Occupational hazard. I like the way you put it there. And that's what happened in game number 1. Execration take the lead in the series. Can they bounce back from the second last place in the groups with a 2-0 victory? We'll find out after the break.